My name's Laurie McDonald. I'm a clinical alchemical hypnotherapist in Sacramento, California. And alchemy, of course, is the art of transformation. So our idea behind alchemical hypnotherapy is to transform what is perceived as a negative experience into enlightenment. So not only does the person understand cause and effect, which is quite logical and easy to understand. We behave in one manner due to some other behavior, very logical. However, that doesn't generally apply to emotions. Emotions are not very logical. And you can tell someone, well, don't feel like that. And they will feel like that. And so people ask a lot of questions like, why me? Why did I go through this? But I think a more empowering question is what? What can I do to heal from it? What is my next empowered step? And what is the overall lesson I'm learning here in the direction of fulfilling my life's potential or understanding the multidimensionality of the human? And human is a very interesting word. Many cultures, many people believe that it means people or races. I believe there are two races on the planet, female and male. Those are the two races on the planet Earth. But human, hue, is the word that we use to measure the depth or saturation of light. And man comes from the word manifestation, to come into the physical or to be embodied. So a human is a light embodied being. Race and gender would be subcategories of that definition. And when somebody understands what they are, they're able to process and understand some of the larger philosophical questions that man has pondered for a millennium. And so we wonder, how do we get to that place? And there are 5 easy, not always simple, but 5 steps to self-actualization, to understanding your potential. And many people are sensing their potential. Maybe they dreamed about it when they were a child. Maybe they envisioned themselves doing this or that in the world. But for whatever reasons, they weren't able to fulfill that. And this could leave some people feeling less than fulfilled, therefore empty on certain levels. But we see there's been a great distraction of external motivation that the many cultures, not only in the Western world, but other cultures are motivated externally by fame or success or money. The idea here in the West is to go in debt for a big education and try to get a really good job to pay that off. While doing that, driving a fancy car, trying to balance a hefty mortgage on a big house. And these things are to equate success and happiness. It's an illusion because true motivation to success and happiness is intrinsic. It comes from using the right use of will, understanding that everything in our existence was created by desire. That was through desire that man chose to draw stone from the earth and turn it into steel, to make swords and cars and satellites and rocket ships and sky rises. And so we had to desire to create, to manifest our thoughts. But desire is a huge emotion. It's a propelling emotion. And when the intrinsic emotion is aligned with desire and will, we have manifestation of our thoughts and beliefs and ideas. So the right use of will is a will that is in alignment with the unconscious, the subconscious, and your conscious awareness. You're in alignment. So many people struggle with addiction or needing some form of behavioral modification. Maybe they need to change one thing or the other. in their mind. And so they use the wrong use of will by exerting an unsustainable energy because they are not in alignment. So when I teach meditation to certain people, usually yuppies, they'll be like, come on, inner peace. Am I doing it right? How come I'm not blissed out yet? That's wrong use of will. It's through the ability to settle in, to settle down, to become present and relax, and begin the internal alignment to create the external manifestation. But it's required that we be healthy, emotionally healed, that we're in the right frame of mind to take sturdy, empowered steps towards creating the future that we desire. It's not only our duty, but our responsibility to find the higher aspects of ourselves and to allow them to manifest so that we can create the change in the world that will ultimately create the balance to open to a divine feminine energy and let go of the rigidity of the patriarchal understanding that's creating the external motivators. So this is Boomer. He might jump up here. He likes it if he hears my hypnotherapy voice. He's my rescue dog. So understanding that right use of will. And we do that by first understanding the true, authentic self. Whatever it is, our first step is self-acceptance. We have to do a gentle but accurate and critical self-evaluation. We are here because this decision, this choice, this fear, this arrogance, what emotional energy has brought us to where we are in the world? And so we have to look at ourselves without shame, without blame, but just evaluating what I am, the good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent, and accept it, because you cannot change what you cannot accept. So it's through that first level of self-acceptance that we begin to see the true self emerge and begin to come present. When we begin to accept the self, we begin to feel and generate a love for ourselves. And then we can embrace ourselves, not feeling superior or inferior, but equal and connected to all that is, all that ever will be. When we begin to see that there is that subtle energy already happening, and we begin to relax into that self-acceptance without fear. Fear is one of the issues that prevents people from doing that critical self-evaluation, because maybe they didn't achieve something that they thought they were supposed to. But I say this, there are no mistakes. There are many paths to the top of the mountain. Our only real goal is not to get to the top, but to remove the obstacles for those that follow. And then there's a natural, easy flow for everyone to rise, a collective consciousness. And we get that opportunity to do that by just looking at ourselves. Because when we can accept the behaviors in ourselves, we can accept them in others. We become more tolerant, more patient. We begin to incorporate higher frequency emotions like forgiveness, true compassion, mercy, pity, actual high frequency pity. It's heart-wrenching to feel that as a true emotion. When we begin to understand those higher frequency emotions and we can apply them to ourselves, then to everyone, then we've hit step one. We've accepted the self. We don't shame, we don't blame, we love, we embrace, And we settle down and see we're always very similar. We're not that much different from each other. And if I deserve a second chance, then anyone deserves a second chance. And you can give that to yourself, and you can give that to your loved ones, or friends, acquaintances. Why not? We have the power to do that. It's called a fresh start. So we wipe the slate clean, let go of old behaviors and energies that no longer serve the new purpose, the higher purpose. And we begin to move towards step number 2. I don't know if we can see it on the board. But step number 2 is that deeper level of acceptance, as acceptance comes in many layers. There's the acceptance of the self, but of our behavior, of our place, of our position. We have to accept other things. We have to move deeper into the subconscious and really make it difficult for us to take the hard road, make it a difficult road, make it as hard as possible, unturn everything that's ever prevented you, and just ask yourself, what am I afraid of? Simply using your hands, pulling upon your own energy, your own chi, can move into a meditative state, placing the hands on the solar plexus just below the rib cage and above the navel, breathing into that, just allowing yourself to be fully present. Ask, what am I afraid of? Sit with it. Let the answer effervescently bubble up into the awareness of your consciousness, but hold it there. And then ask yourself, is that a real fear or an imagined fear? Because an imagined fear is something that sounds like, that could happen. This happened before. What if that happens? That's all imagined. Real fear is imminent danger. This is happening. And so then, moving back after the determination of real fear or imagined fear, say it is real. Going back into that same state, simply ask yourself, what is my next empowered step? Because when you ask the right questions, you get the right answers. And the highest power that ever was wants one thing from the humans. Wants us to continuously move forward, to not become stagnant or stale, not to dwell in old energy or self-pity, but to move forward and to take those steps. That's why we ask, what can I do, instead of why me? What am I afraid of? And then, what is my next empowered step? And when we understand fear, generally doesn't add up to anything at the end of the day, and you can spend a whole lot of time worrying about the what ifs. But what serves the highest purpose is to let go of that energy. Don't release it, let it go. Because a lease is a contract with a date. And if your apartment lease runs up, you have to release it. Same apartment, new contract, just let it go. Words have power. And so using the right verbiage is going to help all layers of the mind resonate into the same alignment. So let it go as opposed to releasing, because releasing is just going to come back with some other guy's name or whatever your issue happens to be. And we all know that women often make patterned errors in relationship that are obvious to others, sometimes not themselves. And so this is one of the ways to break these patterns, is to ask the right question. Don't beat yourself up for it. Just ask the right question. What is my next empowered step? And when you sit with it long enough, the answers do come. And that's just that deeper level of awareness and acceptance. So then we can begin to really understand that the human has an opportunity with every single situation that we encounter. We begin to understand that when the road becomes difficult, it's to show us that we have the strength. It was never created to allow us to buckle under the pressure, but to show you, you can handle this. You can achieve this. So the mind will allow you to do it when you feed it the right information. So our next step moves into self-development, and it is about developing the mind and the body and the spirit connection. It's about developing the relationship with the internal self. As the psyche is split up into multiple personalities, we have our inner observer within that psyche. We have an inner child locked, trapped inside of us, sometimes put there in our early childhood. But if the inner child was never healed, then the inner child's emotions will control your relationship. If you feel jealousy, if there's insecurity, if you are not well grounded, safe, secure, competent, capable, self-assured, then your inner child needs to be fortified, balanced, rescued, and well grounded. And with alchemical hypnotherapy and other modalities, we can move into that inner child work and begin to create that healing from the ground floor. And this is where the transformation really begins. Because once that inner child is secure, so is the adult. And that is the primary aspect of it, because it's the foundation. You can't build a life on a weak foundation. And until we rescue or secure the inner child's energy, you'll see that it's a big part of the decisions you make in your life outside of your conscious awareness. And so you can check in when you have an emotion and see, where might that be coming from? Am I feeling a little insecure? Just check in. And when we ask, here we go again, by asking the right questions. When we ask the question, why am I feeling this? You'll flash, you'll get a glimpse, you'll get an image, because that image is coming from the subconscious. It's going to show you the direction that you need to take. The language of the subconscious is not English, French, or Chinese, or any other language. It is image. And so when we speak the right language, by creating the image with our words, then we're layering the effect and redirecting the outcome. And we can move back, not in time, but time really only exists where we place our conscious awareness. So we can move the consciousness back to the child and nourish and nurture the child, secure them, let them feel embraced and loved as they were meant to, so that every child has that start, no matter who your parents were. And I am a hypnotherapist because I did an inner child session back in the early 90s, 91 or 92 or something like that. And I was going to be a psychologist at the time, maybe even a psychiatrist, and did this inner child session and found out, whoa, that was remarkably powerful and profoundly effective and created change instantly. And I thought, whoa, this may be the direction that I'm going to take, and I have. And I'm glad that I did. And so doing that inner child work for myself has allowed me to continue to grow. Otherwise, we do have a bit of a stunted aspect. And America is the walking wounded when it comes to emotional energy, not with any negative intention. I'm just stating that they are the walking wounded as they fail to express their truth and fail to work it out and become reactive and overactive and begin to act out instead of acting in to create balance. So when we have that development and we can develop that mind-body connection, the mind controls the body and the body obeys. We can use that. And if you want to try, everyone right now, can just for a moment, relax, maybe take a breath on the count of three in, hold it for 3 seconds and then let it out for 3. So just breathing for a moment. Now I want you to focus your attention and move your mind down into the soles of the feet. Scan, sense, feel into the feet. Feel for a gentle stirring, a slight tingling, a pressure. And if you can feel that, you can go ahead and open your eyes. And if you can't feel it, you can open your eyes. And if you did feel it, what you felt was your mind and body connecting as you move the consciousness into the feet. In the feet, the energy is resonating, responding. It's an atomic, cellular, molecular energy now. It's our consciousness. And you can move your mind. See, just because I said it, my feet are totally... I have to move my mind back into my mind. But we use that for pain, to slow our breath, as breath is the body's frequency modulator. In learning how to breathe, how to move the mind, practicing these things with the body, and understanding how the body works. Move the mind into pain, gently ease it away. If you can layer that with an image of, say, pain melting away, maybe something like an ice cube melting under the blazing sun, sort of puddling down and then gone, right? You can feel that right in the body. I do it with clients and to myself as well. But this is a real strong, powerful connection of being able to feel yourself inside your body. So you can move in and out of the body. You can move your mind the same way. Once you become very adept at moving the mind into the body, then we begin to move it within our environment. And we'll have out-of-body experiences. And I've had so many I can't count now. But we see that the soul, the consciousness, moves in and out of the body. And we can begin to learn to do this at will, helping to control our dreaming or lucid dreaming, helping to create, helping to understand the multidimensionality of the human. And we like to think of it like this. Say we're a central sun, bright, beaming ball of light, high in the universe. And as it radiates in all different directions, filtering through multiple dimensions, landing on Earth, a bit of that consciousness is in all of those dimensions before it becomes embodied here. We have a multiple awareness when we begin to move the mind. And this allows us to see the true self. And another way of saying the true self is saying the spiritual self. And that is really what it's all about now, is understanding the spiritual aspect of the self and the great opportunity we have to be embodied. And it is miraculous to feel the grass under your feet, that sinking sensation as you understand your weight or gravity. You begin to understand sensation. Outside of the body, there is no sensation of time or space. There's an expansion of consciousness, and you move with thought, of fluidity, of energy. And that is the true self. This aspect of embodiment is a great opportunity for us to learn what it is we were meant to learn. And there are two things to master as a human. And one is love, and the other is fear. The third dimensional reality is dualistic in nature. We have masculine, feminine, north, south, up, down, black, white. We have a duality. There is a duality in love. Many people are great givers of love. They love other people. They love their dogs. They love their life. They love everything they can give. But to truly be balanced in love, one has to be deeply vulnerable and express their truth and expect it to be accepted and loved unconditionally. You have to have the deepest of vulnerability to show, reveal the true self and expect it to be accepted and loved. Then you're full. You've balanced love now. And with fear, also in the dualistic nature of the third dimensional reality, fear is you're either fear-based, and fear is stopping you from taking all of these steps towards your self-mastery, your self-actualization, or you're a fear-monger. You're making sure other people don't get to take those steps. Watch out, it's Armageddon, or the sky is falling, or some other thing that may or may not happen. And all of these things people have been worrying about for hundreds of years. It's a long time to live in fear. And so if we're not fear-based and we're not making other people fear-based, and we are honest and loving, then we're mastering the human condition. And when we move through different forms of development, and there are many types of meditation, hypnotherapy, other forms of therapy, EMDR, and any light and sound therapy, anything that gets the energy moving, it's whatever is appropriate for the person. I mean, whatever works for you is okay. There is no one way to anything, and nor should there be. There are many people, so there should be many ways. So I think that our best form is to find out what works for you and begin to develop. And I believe Buddha said, if you cannot sit in meditation for 20 minutes every day, then you should sit in meditation for 1 hour every day. Because this will teach you to become present and to settle in and to begin to feel that energy as you squirm and move, and allow the thoughts to come and go. And I did spend 5 years in a Buddhist temple meditating, and sometimes for 18 hours a day, where I would learn how to control my mind. I learned more about other worlds than you could learn in any textbook or any university on the planet. And it's really, we come to the understanding that there are the many roads. And so without judgment, because no one way is better than the other. So it's without judgment that we take those steps. And if we all fell into that energy without judgment, no feelings of superiority or feelings of being inferior, there would be no more war. That would be all it would take, because we would be personally empowered and enlightened enough to allow others to believe what makes them happy, to live their life, to have their journey, because it doesn't take anything from us if somebody is different. And so we have this beautiful opportunity. It's in the garden of life. A rose does not desire to be a violet. A violet doesn't want to make a tulip become a violet. In the garden of life, we embrace our individuality. We radiate our own perfume, and we allow that. And when we can do that, we are fundamentally changing the world. We are creating the door for the world to walk through, a door of peace and acceptance. And you can still be what you want to be, but you have to allow other people to be what they want to be, and as it should be. And so we continue to develop in these ways, deepening our understanding. And after much development, we do become masters. We become masters of the self. We become masters of our own mind and body. And self-mastery is a practice. And we use the word practice so that we just continue every day, just practicing. Not trying to be perfect today. I'm just practicing. And it takes the pressure off, and it makes it quite a bit easier. And as we continue to master our thoughts, our energy, our movement through the world, we eventually land on the door of self-actualization. And self-actualization is when you are speaking your truth, sharing your ideas, living in the world that you're creating, and you're content, you're happy with it. I'm somewhat self-actualized. I'm doing the work that I want to do, the speaking arrangements or engagements that I want, and without fear, I speak my truth. And I know that if I wasn't this way, I might bite my tongue or hold back or feel insecure. But we have to see that we're all equal and we all have something to contribute. And when we begin to master that love and fear, we move into that self-actualization, it creates a profound happiness. Doesn't mean that every day of your life is going to be blissful. It just means that you can handle it a little better by practicing equanimity, to be calm, regardless of the chaos outside, because the forest exists, even though there may be a fire within. And we see that we can continue to move through the world. And as we do this collectively, we're opening the doors now to that next layer of energy. And that next layer of energy is a reality check. We begin to challenge our belief systems. You ask, is this something I was taught? Is that why I believe this? Or is that something I thought? You have to begin to move into that deeper area now and challenge the reality. Is this a good reality? Challenge the reality to what is real, what is not real, what is true, what is not true. Challenge your reality, and you'll understand that that's the step towards consciousness expansion. It is a very specific freedom to expand the consciousness. And prior to that is the challenging of the reality. By challenging your reality, You're creating a freedom to let go of a dogma or a paradigm or a belief system that may have existed for a long time and was created that may no longer be applicable to us. And many of them at this point are not, as they are self-limiting and self-defeating in nature, not allowing us to reach our potential, to have that freedom to expand the mind and the body. Many people on their way, on their spiritual journey, become very empathetic, and they begin to tap into some latent human resources. Psychism, for one, they become highly intuitive. This is our natural state. And that intuition opens the next level of awareness. So as I said earlier, awareness is multi-layered. Once we move past the awareness of ourself, the awareness of our reality, let go of what we can and cannot do as what we were told, we begin to see that we have latent human resources. They've been shown to us where we see a woman lifting a tractor off a pinned farmer with one hand while breastfeeding a baby in the other. It's like nothing to her. And how does she do this? She does this without thought. She simply moves her consciousness to the end result. She did not panic. She did not give herself the opportunity to say, I cannot do this. And so she did it. And there are case after case of humans exhibiting superhuman strength or superhuman clarity. Once I was in a car accident and everything slowed down, pixel one after the other. I had unbelievable clarity and control of time, it seemed. Really quite remarkable, giving us the opportunity to think everything through as it was in slow motion. There was a man who jumped out of an airplane to parachute, and both of his parachutes failed. And as he was plummeting at I don't know what speed toward the earth, and he said it was just flying by him and he could see it. And when it became very clear how close he was to the earth, he said he screamed in his mind the word stop. And he stopped, and he hovered, and he wobbled, and he dropped the remaining 2 feet without a scratch. This seems unbelievable, but it is a well-documented case. And we hear many out-of-body experiences, near-death experiences, all indicators of our higher potential, indicators of our truer self, incredible stories of those latent, hidden human reserves. But the way to those, the door that we move through, is belief. It's belief in the highest positive energy I can and will and do. It's actually seeing the end results at the beginning. You see the beginning, the middle, and the end. You see it completed. There's no room for error then. You see the end result at the very beginning. We mesh that energy. That is how that huge adrenaline spike, bringing that ability for them to exhibit this strength. So does strength have anything to do with muscle? Not in this case, and not in many. And so maybe not at all. And so maybe the muscle that we really need to pay attention to is the brain and the heart. And we can work with them together, because it was her desire to save the farmer, followed by her love. And without thought, it is done. And there are so many stories of this. And I believe that we have the ability to help propagate the deepest of internal healings by using our mind. Not always exhibiting huge feats of strength, but just gently applying our own mental energy into scanning the layers of the self and beginning to integrate towards enlightenment, towards the truth without fear. So those are our 5 steps. There are many layers to those steps. Any questions?
I have a comment, kind of on the same concept that you were just introducing to us. I read once that an exercise therapist sent his team home to imagine exercising. And when they came back, they had achieved the same amount of muscle tone as the ones that had stayed there doing the exercises.
That's absolutely correct. In my own private practice, I do work with some athletes, and we have them exercise in their sleep. So we set that program, and you can see the muscle contract. And so they'll have the same amount of muscle build as someone who is actually doing the strength, because the mind controls the body and the body obeys because that's its job. Yeah, it is quite amazing that you can do that. So not only so exercising in your sleep, but anything. When I was a little girl in gymnastics, I think around 9 or 10 years old, my coach said, see, he might have started all of this. He said, if you can see it in your mind, then you can do it. So he told me to sit on the mat and see myself running, doing a round off back handspring aerial. And I saw it, and then I could do it. And that's kind of been my life. I think that that coach was very smart, and he should have maybe, or maybe I just took it so literally that it worked, for me. But that is the entire belief. If you can see it in your mind, of course, within reason, don't jump off a building and think you can see yourself flying, because you're not equating gravity. Okay, so, and you're not thinking it through. Maybe if you did and you measured all of those things, who knows, but we're not going to go there right now. The idea is, if the mind can see it, you can achieve it. And I know that people have heard that over the years, but when you are seeing it, it's how you see it. You have to see the end result at the same time as if it's already accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So, did you want to add something?
Yeah, Laurie.
Okay. Whoever first.
Oh, I did. Yeah.
Oh, did you? Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
No, I just was going to say that kind of reminds me of a dream that I had about 5 or 6 years ago. It was so profound because I dreamt that I was in a building, and I was many stories up, and it was as if the building was it was during construction of it, and there was an area where you could go, or where I did go, and I could look down and down into the floors below, and sort of like that, I stepped off, and as soon as I did it, I was so alarmed and said, immediately, I want to take this back. I didn't want to do that. But then was the first time that I started to fly. And that's exactly what I did. And then I graduated throughout the months and years to flying in my dreams and actually teaching others to fly.
It's very common that people become the teacher and help other people learn how to fly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, I just think it was my soul speaking to myself
Mhm.
that you
It
can
said, look how far you have come. You are still building and growing. Fly.
fly. Yeah.
Trust the process.
Right. Right.
You're under construction.
Exactly.
I love it. Love it.
Mhm.
And Dr. Janet,
Oh, my father told us our whole lives growing up, you can do whatever you put your mind to doing. Whatever you want to do, you can do. And he'd say, see that wall over there? If I want to walk through that and put my mind to it, I can walk through that wall. So after all of us hearing that for so many years, when he was a little older in his lifetime, we said, well, why didn't you ever do that then? And his answer was just, well, I'm not a dummy. Why would I want to walk through a wall? But he had this little sense of humor too. But it was, just the point that you were saying, you want
yeah,
to
you're
use your
right.
mind to do what's valuable, what's right, what's going to help others, to yourself. Why would you walk through a wall? When you have that kind of power, you can do other things too.
Mhm. Yeah, and he's saying if you use your mind,
Mhm,
you can do anything.
mhm,
And maybe a good idea if we teach our children or our families that, then show them, use your mind now to move it into different parts of the body, to feel it,
mhm,
to begin to see that you really can exercise the mind, move the mind, and begin to achieve things. Because how the subconscious mind works, the unconscious is continuously receiving trillions of bits of information 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It never takes a break. It compiles that information, processing it into different layers of the subconscious mind, generally based on the emotional energy behind the event, thought, or process, or whatever is being picked up. Those create neural pathways that become accumulative, that create our behavior in the world. And so when we begin to control the messages coming into the subconscious, because 90% of our behavior is generated from the subconscious mind. We think we have all this free will, but we're really on autopilot, operating automatically, following the same old routine. Truth is, subconscious mind loves repetition. So if you have a new desire, a new actualization, something that you're trying to create, you continue to create the same image over and over, or for its words. I often tell people, write them in the upper left and right-hand corner of your bathroom mirror. Use a lipstick or whatever you have, and maybe a marker, and write them in the upper left and right-hand corner of your bathroom mirror, because you're going to stop reading them after a day or two. But your unconscious mind is going to continuously see them and deepen. If you write it on the corner of a beveled mirror, then you're seeing it 100 times over. You're creating a neural pathway. You're changing the behavior. You're controlling and seeding now the information that's going into the subconscious that creates our conscious awareness.
mhm. I love this. Bravo to you. I'm signing up.
Excellent. I appreciate that. I'm very happy to hear that. I love it too. I'm going to be honest.
Mhm.
I love it too. It's very cool being a human.
Mm,
It really is. And when it's an honor as well, many people don't realize that we're special in our manifesting abilities and incredible co-creators.
mhm.
We can all get on the same page and start co-creating the same thing. We could probably lessen that chaos that's out there.
Mhm. Well, that's the point of UrVeda.
Exactly. Providing a platform where people can come and learn different modalities to see what it is that they resonate, to uncover hidden information or knowledge, esoteric understandings, and bring it into today's reality and look at it from that new perspective. Very important right now as we are an important time in our history with the influx of artificial intelligence. I mean, we haven't even developed our emotional intelligence completely or our regular intellect. And why do we want to bring in an artificial one right now? So we have to be very careful in understanding the self and honoring the organic aspect of the human.
It is said that AI is our biggest threat.
I believe that it is. AI is our biggest threat as it thinks on a quantum level, whereas our laptops here in front of us, their laptop is like 100,000 times what ours is.
Hmm.
And I am not even exaggerating. So when we're operating on the quantum level, then it's very difficult until you're operating in your own spiritual consciousness, which in fact is quantum.
Mhm.
So
Well,
I think that, oh, sorry.
yeah, I wanted to ask you, you mentioned about how you spent a good amount of time in a Buddhist temple, monastery, and let's see, what did I write here? I was kind of struck by just imagining what that must have felt like to dwell there day after day. And did you, I guess, in so many words, what was that like?
Well, it actually did start with a dream, Jane. One night I dreamed of this temple. I could smell the sandalwood incense. I could smell oranges. And it was an incredibly powerful dream, a calling. I felt it calling. And when I awoke in the morning, I was quite startled because it was just in the temple. So I was disoriented for a moment that I opened my eyes in my own bedroom. And so that day, I drove around the outskirts of Sacramento. I went out in the country and I drove this way and that, meandering, thinking. And there in the distance was the temple that I dreamed about. I drove through the gates. There was a secondary gates, big black iron gates. They were open about 6 or 8 inches. There were 2 female monks standing there. I parked my car and I walked over and they said, "Why have you come?" I said, "I've come to meditate." They said, "How did you know about us?" I said, "I dreamed you." And as fast as a monk could scurry, off she went to retrieve the master. Somebody dreamed us. And brought the master back, and they're speaking in Vietnamese, and they're pointed at my head. And I said, "Why are you pointing at my hair?" And they said, "Because you came today wearing your hair in an initiate bun." And they invited me in, and there was huge energy between the master and myself, a recollection that was outside of words. It was a huge honor for them to invite me to eat with them or to pray or to meditate. I did learn there that when I prayed, I talked to God, but when I meditated, God talked to me. And I was learning And so we would do 18-hour meditations, and sometimes I would sleep in the temple. I had children and I had to go home at night. No. And I started to bring my son to the temple. He's 35 and he started meditating at about 5, cartwheels for them. But they did robe me and asked me to stay. They recognized. And when I shared my spiritual experiences with the master, she told me that I was Buddha, and that Buddha was the word they used for enlightened. And I was humbled beyond belief to think that my existence was illuminated in that way, that I could gain insight or knowledge and share it. And it's been several decades now.
Wow. Wow, that's profound. Whew. And do you go back? Have you been back of
Yes,
late?
I've been back. I've brought my grandchildren. And that was a wonderful sight for me to see my granddaughter running around the same temple that my son ran around, that I spent so many hours. Yeah, it was a huge honor. And so I have a great respect for the Buddhist philosophy and understanding. And through my other work, I do divine goddess retreats. Our next one we're hoping for is in Cambodia, Siem Reap, Angkor Wat. We're trying to do the root and crown chakra. We've done Mount Shasta and Hawaii and base of Yosemite, all very interesting, magical energy places.
So in your opinion, are there indeed vortexes of energy that are more powerful than others?
Yes, yes, there are many. And even sometimes within people, there are portals of energy that can open. And our minds have this great ability to travel, to move in the curvature of space, into sense, into older civilizations. And we can bring back information.
Wow. We have a Buddhist temple near where I just moved back to Prescott, Arizona. And it's this Buddhist temple that it's been around probably 25 years now, but when the Rinpoche came, we all went and helped build the stupas. And I have pictures of those painted little green, and we'd stuff the mantras inside.
Lovely.
Those in the pillars. And his name is Garchen Rinpoche. And he's just an amazing person. So since I've moved back here, I haven't been up to see him yet. But we spent a lot of years, a lot of time studying, and a very dear friend of mine and my husband's passed away, and we were all studying together at the temple. So at her deathbed, I was the one who went up and got the Rinpoches and brought them to her bedside. And he did the poa and said, everything is done. She's in Dewa Chen. And it was amazing. It was just beautiful. So I've studied that Tibetan Book of the Dead very closely.
Very important. I highly recommend that book to anyone and everyone, as we are all in the state of dying. And that's okay, because it's only the physical body, of course, that falls. And then again, we experience that freedom.
Mm,
So I think our time is up for today, for
mm.
tonight, I guess. But I thank you guys for coming. This is my first class here, and I'm sure they'll only get better.
Thank you so much.
You.
Guys, I appreciate you coming.
Oh, thank
Absolutely-
you. This
Absolutely
is
amazing.
tremendous.
Hour, the honor for this hour.
Well, we look forward to many more.
I do as well.
Absolutely. Thank you, Laurie.
Okay, thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
everyone.
Good
Have a
night.
wonderful weekend.
Thank you. Sleep well.
Good night. Good night, all.
Okay.